Is it on? Good evening, everybody. How is the sound? Testing. How is the sound now? Is there volume enough? It's good there. You're right. Good back in the back? And okay, great. Let's see. Maybe I'll just put down there. So, like always, we start with a meditation. So go ahead and find a comfortable position. If you are seated on a chair, it's nice to have a couple pointers, and I'll show you. So sitting on a chair, it's easy to kind of do habitual patterns in chairs and sit back or slouch. A common way to practice meditating in a chair is to sit a little more forward, just on the edge of the seat, so that the pelvis is tilted slightly a little bit more forward. Tilting the pelvis forward helps the lower back to curve in, and then the thoracic spine curve out, and the cervical neck curving in again. That's called the natural S-curve of the spine. And when our spine is in a natural S-curve, the distribution of the body weight is the most efficient, so you don't have to effort to remain upright. And if you're in a chair, make sure the feet are nice and square, flat on the floor. And the hands can either rest palms down on the thighs or resting in your lap in the mudra of meditative equipoise. The left hand can support the right and the two thumbs touching. Whatever is comfortable for you. If you're sitting on a cushion, just make sure that you have enough height under your hips so that the knees are beneath the hips, not like that. And the spine is nice and straight, like a stack of golden coins, one atop the other, reaching up through the crown of the head, and the chest buoyant, shoulders relaxed, away from the ears, arms relaxed. When we take a special posture like this, it helps the body, the mind, to kind of sit up a little bit and to engage more fully in the practice with awareness, with a wakeful quality. The eyes can either be slightly open, gazing at a comfortable angle towards the floor, or closed if that's more comfortable for you. And last week I taught the 9 purification breaths, and we'll go ahead and do it again. It's a way to enliven the body and get the chi or the prana to wake up. If you can take full lotus on the floor, do that. If not, just cross the legs in a comfortable position, or sitting in a chair is fine for this practice as well. And so just follow along with me with your next in-breath. Raise the arms overhead. And then exhale, let the arms come down. As they come down, the thumbs press at the root of the ring finger, and then the fingers wrap around the thumb. This is called Vajra fists. So as they come down, you just hug the thumb, and then place the back of the hand at the crease of the hips, and then straighten the elbows as much as you can. Now, if that's hard to do, just keep the elbows slightly bent, that's fine. Or you can slide the hands towards the knees and keep the arms straight. Those are 2 options. And everybody now, with your next inhalation, raise the left arm, make a circle with the wrist. The index finger is pointing, and then you place the index finger on the left nostril. Breathe out through the right nostril, cleansing the right nostril, the right lung, so to speak, the right channel of stagnant air. Then let the hand come down. Then the right arm lifts with the in-breath, raising the arm, make a circle with the wrist, place it on the nose, exhale through the left nostril, cleansing the left channel, the left nostril of stagnant air. Let the right hand descend. Again, 2 more rounds like this. Inhale the left arm. And exhale stagnant air leaving the right nostril. When you're almost empty, the hand can drift down to the hip again. Then you're ready to inhale the right arm. And exhale through the left, stagnant air, cleansing the left side, the left nadi or channel. Let the hand come down. Inhale, raising the left. You can imagine you're inhaling rainbow light as you inhale, purifying the body. Then exhale through the right. Imagine the right channel, the right nostril completely cleansed of any stagnant air, any blocks. Then the right again. Inhaling rainbow light through the whole body. And exhale, completely purify the left channel, the left nostril. Let the hand come back down, both hands at the hip or on the legs. Inhale through both nostrils, rainbow light. And then a 3-part exhalation through both nostrils. Completely cleansing the central channel. And then inhale, release the hands from the thighs and let them drift like leaves falling off a tree onto the thighs. Rest for a few breaths in what's called the wisdom prana. And now we'll glide right into meditation. Just let the breath flow in and out naturally, no control, no pranayama. Enjoying the flow of the breath in to the body and then out, allowing yourself to land in the present moment with the breath and the body. You may feel a sense of invigoration, a sense of wakefulness from the breathing practice. See if you can sustain that. As the body and mind release tension with the out-breath, you increase clarity and presence with the in-breath. Feel the muscles of the face soften, the jaw relax, landing more fully right now with your body, with your breath. Feel the breath in the belly and releasing tension, distraction with the exhalation, like leaves scattered in the autumn wind. Spend the first half of our evening practice with simple breath awareness, shamatha, calm abiding, And then I'll guide us in the Tonglen practice of compassion at the end. So for the next 10 minutes or so, see if you can rest with the breath as much as possible, releasing distraction and coming back. The full cycle of the in and the out breath. Soothing the body with the breath. Soothing the mind. Allowing it to settle in its natural state, tranquility, clarity, and spaciousness. One way to enhance the quality of concentration is to use the counting of the breath. At the end of the exhalation, just simply internally count 1. At the end of the next breath, out breath, counting 2 internally. And count from 1 to 10 again and again. This helps to focus the mind if it's busy. Bring a quality of concentration and relaxation. So from this place of stillness, we'll shift into the practice of Tonglen, sending and receiving. First, imagine that at the heart center is an orb of radiant light. And drop your awareness into the heart center, the heart chakra. And allow the breath to travel directly in and out from the heart space, as if you were breathing a full 360 degrees around you, through the heart, to the chest, the side, the back. The breath directly infusing this radiant sun, a luminous light, the center of your heart. And this luminous orb of light at your heart is your awakened mind, your bodhicitta, this potential that we all have within us, this spark of awakening, our birthright, our true nature. And this has the quality of the Vajra-like mind, and the Vajra is adamantine like a diamond, indestructible, like a lightning bolt. It's infinite capacity for compassion, for love, for wisdom, equanimity and joy. Our true conditions. Each breath charges the space of the heart, aerates the space of the heart, open to this feeling of spacious awareness. And it is from this place of the heart that we engage in the Tonglen practice, and recognizing that all beings, animal, human, insects, all sentient beings, all have within them this spark of Buddha nature. And like us, they all wish to be happy and free of suffering. And yet they are lost in confusion due to the winds of karma, their propensities. How sad, how tragic, this samsaric play. The very gold that we're looking for is beneath our very feet, within our very core of the heart. Recognizing that we all share this beauty and this sincere wish to awaken. We practice the Tonglen. First, take a few moments breathing in anything that is breaking your own heart, anything that is ailing you. So first practicing Tonglen for yourself. Are you feeling alienated? Are you lonely? Are you sick? Are you suffering in some way of heartbreak or anger, fear, jealousy, sadness? Whatever it may be, just welcome these fragmented aspects of yourself into the heart space. And as you breathe out, offer yourself the remedy, fulfillment, healing, joy, whatever your remedy is. Offer that to your being, your body, your mind with the out-breath. So inhaling, welcoming it in to the heart space, allowing it to come home. This luminous orb of indestructible light at your heart. And breathing out, the remedy suffusing every cell of your body with light and love and healing. Continue like this for a few more moments. With each breath, the heart becomes more spacious, the capacity grows. The realization that nothing can destroy this Vajra-like nature of mind beyond birth and death. And now shift into practicing with a loved one, someone towards whom feeling compassion and love is natural and easy, maybe a child or a parent or a spouse, friend, lover. Bring them as clearly as you can into your mind's eye, recognizing that they too have this Buddha nature within them, and yet they suffer in various ways. So bring to mind this person who might be suffering, and arouse the sincere wish that they may be free of suffering. And with the in-breath, imagine drawing in their suffering in the form of a dark, smoky vapor into the heart directly, where it dissipates, it's purified on this orb of light at your heart, and breathe out the remedy. Offer them healing, light, cool, soothing texture of light. Inhale their suffering, the form of a smoky vapor, transform it at your heart. And then breathe out the remedy of healing, love, compassion, freedom from suffering, whatever the remedy is for them, whatever you imagine will bring their greatest flourishing. Make that sincere prayer on the out-breath. Continue like this, stay with the breath, and each in-breath peels away this suffering in the form of smoke, bringing more peace, more healing. As you breathe out, cool, soothing light. This is a mindfulness practice. Stay with the breath. Inhaling that which you would normally push away, and exhaling that which you would normally keep for yourself. All the while maintaining the awareness of this radiant orb of light at your heart. Indestructible, Vajra-like nature of mind. Over the next few breaths, imagine that their suffering completely dissolves and that they achieve a full flourishing in their life. See them luminous, surrounded and permeated by light. Their eyes glimmer, they smile. Their load is lightened. See them truly flourishing in their life. Wish that for them. Now for the final phase tonight, we'll move right into working with the world. Now imagine that you are looking down upon planet Earth from the vantage point of the moon. Just looking down at this beautiful green and blue, white orb. Imagine all the beings on the earth, their joys, their suffering, and with the in-breath, imagine that you breathe in any and all the suffering of the world. Transform it at the luminous orb, indestructible, diamond-like nature of mind. And then breathe out the cool, soothing light surrounding the earth, purifying, bringing joy, bringing healing, bringing peace. Breathing in the suffering, transforming it at the light at your heart. And breathing out, healing light. May all beings be free from suffering. May they find joy, the source of joy. May they find peace, and the deepest source of peace. Make your own prayers and breathe out, sending the prayer with the out-breath. Taking in the suffering with the in-breath. Transform it and send out the healing. Thank you. So it's very important in the Tonglen practice to not be attached to the outcome of the practice. I found myself thinking, wow, this is quite a job, purifying the earth. So we should be here for quite a while. And then I realized, no, that's being attached to the outcome of the practice, right? Also, working with a loved one, oftentimes we're attached to their outcome. We want them to be happy. We don't want them to suffer. It's very important to be aware of any fusion or, kind of control or over-investment in whatever their remedy is. You see? This practice is really about us. and broadening our capacity, deepening our capacity for compassion, empathy, wishing good for others. It's like a muscle. We have to train it. Some of us are born with it. Some other people, we need to work on it. People ask this question oftentimes, like, will they change if I pray for them? Or, scientists have done studies that show that prayer does bring healing, that prayer can help people who are suffering. But yes, that's a big part of what we're doing, but we actually don't really know if our Tonglen practice has the bionic power of actually doing that. I think it does, but I can't prove it. But what I can prove through my own direct experimentation and through teaching and sharing with others is that it heals the practitioner, heals the person doing it, brings more sense of spacious capacity and depth and meaning in one's life, and a deep sense of joy in offering joy to others instead of just being fixated on my own joy. So just be sensitive to that. Be aware if you're fixed or attached to the outcome of your practice. Let go of that and just be. Just be in the moment with it. Be with yourself. Be with your aspiration. Offer it freely, but try to dissolve any kind of rubber cement in between you and that person, that goo. Let go of that too, and offer freely. Okay, so let's take a little bio break. Tea, restrooms here. We'll come back in about 7 minutes or so. I'll ring the bell. Also take this time to say hi to somebody that you've never met before. Maybe this is your first time. Turn to your neighbor or say, hello, my name is so-and-so. Just let's build community as well. Say hi to somebody new. You can come say hi to me too. I'm usually up here all alone. Nobody comes to talk to me. Turn off the mic.
Free yourself.
Okay. I'm wondering, is the volume really? Hey, is the volume all right? Let's do a little louder. Could we turn up the volume a little bit? Who knows how to do that? Is Amy the only one? Oh, great. It's because it seems like there's the hot water makers on all the time or something. I have a soft voice, so I'm always wanting to make sure, you're all right. How is it? Testing. La 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 la. Om mani padme hum. Testing. Is that good? A little more. For the people in the nosebleed seats. How's that? Is that okay? If I'm talking normally? Great. Thank you. Okay. Lojong, slogan number 50. We're nearing the end. There are 59 total. I told Pamela last week, she's a longtime student and friend, and she is often making the Dana announcements. You remember Pam? Oh, by the way, Dana announcement. This place is run on Dana, which means donation. So there's a basket somewhere. I don't know where it is tonight. Yeah, great. So. Yeah, great. So anything you can give is appreciated. It's shared between the center and the teacher, and keep the lights on, keep the sound up, keep the good vibes flowing. I'm kidding. What? Raise the roof. So I said to Pamela last week, I said, we're really almost done. She's like, oh, what? This is going to end? Let's just keep looping around. Let's just start at number 1 after 59. So I thought, really? Maybe. Those first slogans are really deep. So I'm starting to think about what to do next. So if you guys have input, please let me know. After class, you can come up to me if you've got ideas or requests. And some of you might not know that on the last Wednesday of every month, I offer the Feeding Your Demons practice. I'll guide it and take you through the practice. It's like a guided process to work with challenging emotions, challenging thoughts. Especially as meditators, you kind of like, for better or for worse, get to see loud and clear what's going on in here. It's not always a pretty sight. Sometimes it's a little shocking. So I found that as a long-term meditator, when I learned the Feeding Your Demons practice, it was so healing. It was such a wonderful way for me to work with my own personal stuff that was coming up in meditation or in my life. And so please come and experience that if you haven't already. That's the last Wednesday of every month, Feeding Your Demons. Then every other evening we talk about a Lojong slogan. Lojong is a Tibetan word that means mind training. Lo means mind, Jong means to train or purify. So these are slogans, sayings that help us to purify and train our mind towards more happiness and compassion and wisdom in our life, rather than fixating on negative patterns and suffering patterns as well. So we are in the last point of the mind training, and it's mainly slogans that help us integrate the practice into our daily life. So fine, on the cushion it might go well, but you get up off your seat and you kick the dog, or you yell at your kid, or you fumble. We all do in life, right? So life is definitely harder than sitting on the cushion at times. This is where the rubber hits the road. So number 50 is, don't be swayed by external circumstances. Don't be swayed by external circumstances. I'm going to teach from the commentary to this in this classic book called The Great Path of Awakening by Jamgon Kongtrul. It's a really wonderful, kind of more condensed commentary to the Lojong slogans from a great master of the 19th century. And he wrote, in terms of this slogan, have no regard for conducive or adverse conditions, strong or weak health, wealth or poverty, good or bad reputation, troubles or absence of troubles. If conducive conditions come about, train the mind right then. If conducive conditions are not present, then work on the two bodhicittas right then. In a word, don't be concerned with your situation or other factors. Never let go of your practice of mind training. So he's talking specifically about how do you live this practice? How do you bring it into your life and not get swayed or discouraged by external circumstances? So, first line, have no regard for conducive or adverse conditions, strong or weak health, wealth or poverty, good or bad reputation, troubles or absence of troubles. Think about your life. I mean, aren't we almost always concerned with these things? And it's not to say that that's not important to, make good money and have a comfortable life and donate a part of it to the benefit of others. Of course, that's good to be healthy, to have a good reputation. All of these things on a relative level they're fine. It's not that those are bad and that we shouldn't care. It's just that shouldn't be our only motivation. That shouldn't be the only thing that eats up our time and our concern. That he's saying drop deeper, and don't fixate on the external conditions. He says, if conducive conditions come about, train the mind right then. So what does that mean? Can you remember some of the slogans from the past that could help us with this particular slogan? So it's nice to kind of memorize your favorites too, because they can help you in times of need. So if you're having conducive conditions, say you're watching a beautiful sunset, or you're eating a great meal, or you're feeling you just did yoga and you're feeling great, or you're having a high point, you're having a happy moment, like right now, hopefully, maybe you're having a good circumstances right now. He's saying, train the mind right then. What do you think that means? Amy?
Oh, when you're saying other Lojong, that reminds you of it?
Yes.
To transform all mishaps onto the path.
Good.
Bodhi.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah, that's good. And that's a little bit more, focusing on the mishaps. But in this question, I'm saying, which is always great to have that one on the tip of your tongue. So, that's great. But when things are going good, though, and he's saying train in Lojong, do the mind training right then. Are there any other slogans that come to mind? What would we do? How could we bring our training into the good stuff, to the good moments? What does that mean? There are no right or wrong answers here. Intuitively, what do you think? There are many different ways you could answer this question.
Mindful of craving.
Good. Being mindful of craving. Great. Yeah, so like bliss in meditation arising. There's the mind, craving, grasping at it. I want more of that. What happens? It's like trying to grasp a cloud. It just fixating, craving, only wanting the high, not wanting the low. That's denying reality. The highs never last forever, right? We know impermanence. That's a good one. What else?
Give
Arnie.
up all hope of fruition.
Good. Give up all hope of fruition. That's another one. Give up all hope of fruition. So maybe a little more. Say, how would that feel to you?
If you're expecting some kind of reward for your effort, which may make you chase external circumstances.
Yeah, that's good. I'm thinking of, like, say you just painted a painting, and automatically you're going into, well, I hope everybody likes it. I hope I get $1 million for my painting. I hope I became famous. Or you're writing a poem, or Rather than beware in this high point of the mind coming in and almost like usurping these great moments because maybe it's wanting some particular outcome or craving. These kind of are tied into each other. What's another way we can practice when conditions are good?
You can practice giving away some of the
good.
austerity or whatever you want to call it, the good condition.
Yes, practice giving away materially the good conditions. If you're having a great sandwich, offer half of it to your buddy. If you're liking the glass of wine, instead of pouring your glass right away, offer it to the other people at the table. That's a very classy thing to do. I learned that in France when I was 18. Good, yeah. So also, in Buddhism, they also talk about mentally offering, right? So empathetic joy is another way of doing that. Like say you're witnessing somebody getting accolades or having a great moment, hitting a home run, or somebody's being, rewarded in a beautiful, in a valid way for something. Rejoice in that. Rejoice, have a joyful. Oftentimes we feel constricted, like, oh, they got that. Maybe a little jealous, or why don't I? Why? Well, I'll never get that, right? We compare, we get jealous. Instead, offer. May they have even more fruition in their life. May they have even more abundance in their life. Rejoice in that. But then also, like, there are practices of, at every meal, like in Tibet, before every meal they say a prayer blessing the food. And then also, especially if they're enjoying the meal, and there's a practice of mentally offering that to all beings. So you're not just keeping it and enjoying it for yourself, but you're offering it to all beings. May all beings have wonderful food to eat. It's a way to cultivate generosity and compassion. How about slogan number 2? You look on page 93, the first page. So when things are going great and you're on a high point, when you're in the flow, regard all dharmas as dreams. This gets at the craving too, because like if everything that arises, in this context dharmas means appearances, phenomenon, reality. If we can regard all dharmas as dreams, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, everything in between, then we're actually aligning ourselves more with reality, because we're touching into what's called shunyata, or the empty nature of all phenomenon. That all phenomena, sound, sights, tastes, touch, smells, all of our sensory experiences are co-arising and interdependent with everything else that's happening, whether we can perceive it or not. That we are all interconnected, and everything is empty of an intrinsically self-existing existence. So when we regard all dharmas as dreams, we see that they appear, but we see that they're appearing like this rug in all of its colors. Like if I was a dog, I wouldn't see all these colors. We all perceive reality based on our body, our eyes, our sensory capacities. What kind of body are we in this lifetime? Was I born colorblind? Was I born deaf? I've heard stories of people who are blind or deaf can feel sound. Of course sound vibrates, right? But then images come to mind. They perceive things maybe completely different than we do. So regarding all dharmas as dreams, they're appearing yet they're empty of a solid existence. But rather, it doesn't mean that things don't appear. It just means that their deeper, true nature, the way they truly exist, is different than the way we perceive. We perceive everything as solid. But when you talk to a quantum physicist, they will tell you, no, they're more space than solid, more space than matter. So regarding all dharmas as dreams, in a sense, recognizing the empty nature and the impermanent nature of everything, whether it's blissful or painful. So that's one way you could practice when things are good. Anyone have a burning suggestion from another slogan before I move on to the next?
I have a question about what you said.
Yeah.
It's really kind of like the emptiness thing. Like I don't. Is it really possible to like understand that at a level deeper than like the intellectual level?
Yes.
Like, I'm not like a priori. It's not clear to me that it is possible, given that kind of the glasses through which we see the world are kind of very deep in our psyche, I would say. Right? So like, I don't get it. I'm just confused, and I can't even articulate my question. I tried too soon.
Well, your question was crystal clear, the very first thing you said. Is it possible to have, to see or to have a realization of emptiness beyond just an intellectual understanding? Yes. The sages of old say yes, 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 and that is the point. That is the whole point of this practice. And this investigation on an intellectual level helps to kind of clarify any misconceptions we have about things being inherently existent and solid on an intellectual level, but you have to meditate and you have to experience for yourself the non-thingness of things like the breath, things like your sensations, like your thoughts. We think a thought is so solid, we feel like, oh, this thought. But it's not, can you find it? So investigation on an experiential level is the deeper step. This is vipassana. This is what it's all pointing towards, is having a direct, unmediated perception, a direct perception, not a thought, of emptiness, shunyata. And it said that once the yogi has that experience, they've reached the third level of the 5 paths, and that's called the path of seeing, meaning that you have seen into the true nature of phenomenon. So it's the third phase of the 5-fold path. Okay, so it's a good question, actually.
I'm kind of trying to tie this in with attachment theory. So, like, I don't know. It sounds pretty good. I hope it's possible.
Yeah, but don't, like the Buddha said, don't just believe because they're my words, but try it. Meditate. Shamatha Vipassana, classic foundational practices that actually can take you all the way to enlightenment. Shamatha is what we did the first 15 minutes of the practice, where you're stabilizing, clarifying, concentration, letting go of distraction, coming back to the breath or whatever your chosen object is. And then Vipassana is using that instrument of the mind that you've cultivated through shamatha, that clear seeing. What one of my mentors says is like the telescope. You've washed the lens, you've got the good, clear telescope. Then with that telescope of shamatha, you point it to investigate the nature of reality. And that's vipassana. So whether you point the telescope outside, look at the stars, the light, the space, the things, you can investigate, is this clock really a clock, or is this just a label of a clock? I think it's a clock, but it's actually a bunch of plastic and batteries and technology all mixed into one. I can't actually point to one area and say, no, this is actually the clock. No, wait, that's the clock. Through investigation on an intellectual level, you can realize that even these things that we think are so solid are actually a combination of all sorts of different things that you can't say, oh, here is the bell dinger right here. No, is it the tip or is it the side? So the monks in the monasteries spend years on this. Okay, so as lay practitioners, have a little humility. This takes time. I mean, you've been studying this for not that long, right? It's a deep tradition, so old. It's been around for so long. Then you take the intellectual study and you implement it into practice, like I said. Can you find a thing called the breath? We label it the breath, but where's the beginning, middle, and end? Is it a thing? Where's the mind? Where are the thoughts? So through inquiry, eventually you purify your kleshas, or your habitual patterns and your misperceptions, to the point where you can have a direct perception of the true nature of reality. That's the matrix, the aha moment. Oh, maybe you've had it on LSD, or mushrooms. People have had peak experiences, with or without hallucinogens. Better is natural, but as we all know, these hallucinogens can really help open people's minds. And then they go, what is that? That happened to me in my late teens, early 20s. That's why I got into meditating. Because I wanted to figure out how to find this naturally, not have a hangover at the end. And it's legal. And it lasts. It's better. So I keep trying to tell my 17-year-old, she will not. They just rebel. Everything you try to suggest, they're like, no, not doing that. Sit up straight. No, I'm not doing that. Go do some yoga. No, not doing that. Okay, so let's move on, because I'll talk all year about this, because this is I love this stuff, but I might put you to sleep.
I have a question.
Arnie, yes.
In view of all the evil that's going on in the world,
Evil.
there are beings who live in unremitting difficulty and terror sometimes.
Yes.
And displacement.
Yeah.
And deprivation.
Yeah.
How is there the opportunity to what exactly does 50 say? Don't be swayed by external circumstances. If the external circumstances are so negative and overwhelming.
Well, you're leading into the next, where it's going. So good question, and we'll talk about it right now. So Jamgon Kongtrul says, if conducive conditions do not present themselves, maybe there's war, maybe you've lost your job, maybe there's torture and pain and you name it. If conducive conditions are not present, then work on the two bodhicittas right then. So I want to get into this right now. This is what he is suggesting. What is suggested in these practices we do when unconducive circumstances arise, whether personally or globally. And of course, this is really important, always important, but especially right now. So what are the twofold bodhicittas? There's relative bodhicitta and there's ultimate bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, in case you don't know this term, is a very important term. It's a beautiful term. I love it. It's Sanskrit. Bodhi is the root of Buddha. It means awakened. It means illuminated, enlightened. So bodhi is that, awakened or enlightened, illuminated. Citta is heart-mind. You could do a little dash, heart-mind, because in many Asian cultures, they believe that mind is here, not here. Heart-mind is citta. And remember, in the Tonglen practice, we felt that. The orb of light at the heart. So bodhicitta means awakened mind. As one of my teachers says, it's another nice way to translate it is spirit of awakening, because what that communicates is that this heartfelt wish and this inspiration to awaken, not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings. So the textbook definition of bodhicitta is the heartfelt aspiration to awaken for the benefit of all beings, and that includes yourself. So there are two aspects of this aspiration, this experience of bodhicitta. And like I said in the Tonglen practice, we are born with this. This is our birthright. This is our true nature. This isn't something we have to go get or develop. It's something we uncover and realize and deepen into. So the twofold bodhicitta is this. First is relative bodhicitta. Relative level bodhicitta is compassion. So that can take many forms. So if we see suffering in the world or within ourselves, practice the two bodhicittas. First, relative level bodhicitta is compassion. Have compassion for yourself, for another, for others, even for those crazies who are creating the suffering. That's the advanced bodhicitta. That's not so easy at the beginning, but that's where we have to go as spiritual warriors, is compassion for even the poor souls who are perpetrating the evil, because they're creating such horrible repercussions for themselves in the future and others. Now, that doesn't mean we just sit on our cushion and say prayers. Compassion entails getting out there, making the calls, sending the fax, writing the letter, donating the money, going out and feeding people, travel, or stay home. Do it however you can. That's compassion, not just sitting on your cushion. Okay? Relative level bodhicitta is?
Compassion.
Thank you. Good. You're listening. Right. Ultimate level bodhicitta is the second of the two bodhicittas. Ultimate bodhicitta is what we were just talking about. Emptiness. The deeper, more vast, expansive, I'm not saying better, I'm just saying on a more ultimate or absolute level, bodhicitta is that direct experience of emptiness. So some of you have heard the two wings of the bird of enlightenment are compassion, one, wisdom, which is emptiness, wisdom realizing emptiness is the other one. Wisdom and compassion. Because without wisdom, what do you have? Idiot compassion. And my teacher just today said something very powerful. She said, idiot compassion is when we facilitate or perpetuate or encourage another's or our own kind of habitual patterns that keep us in samsara, or that keep us numb to the places that we need to wake up to grow up and to get awake. That's idiot compassion. Think about it. We do that with our friends, like, oh no, everything's fine. Or it's hard to tell people the truth. Oh no, you don't have to, So that's idiot compassion. True compassion is helping with a loving heart, with loving words, with skillful means, helping people, whether yourself or others, to wake up through honesty, helping them to see areas that they might not be seeing, helping them to go to the places, as Pema Chodron says, that scare them, like we have to learn to, in order to become more fully awake. That's true compassion. So sometimes compassion might not look so sweet. Sometimes it's called fierce compassion. That's the raw, true compassion, not the idiot compassion. And that more authentic compassion comes when you have wisdom. Wisdom and courage. But wisdom realizing that we are all interconnected, that the path is not an easy one to walk, but that when we see that the emptiness and impermanence, when we truly internalize that and get it and grok it and have the courage to walk through life with that maturity, then that's the kind of compassion and bodhicitta that's more on the absolute level. So, when circumstances are not easy, practice the twofold bodhicittas right then, like in the moment, not later when you get home or in the morning when you wake up to sit, like in the moment. First compassion, and then understanding at the same time the empty nature of phenomenon. Does that make sense? Is that too kind of philosophical and theoretical? Sometimes Dharma can get like that. We need to always kind of bring it down onto planet Earth. So how would does that make sense? That it's not that you'd say like, oh, everything's empty anyway, so I don't need to help out in the world, Everything's impermanent. People die at some point, and that's not what Buddhism's talking about. Or some people complain, or I read this on blogs, like, oh, we had this big debate about karma because people are saying, oh, well, that's just their karma. They have to live out their karma. That is not Buddhism. First and foremost is wherever we can help people, just like the Christians do. Buddhism, like real Buddhism. Buddhism in the West, we've kind of dropped that. Like we don't do that as much as they did in Asia. But there's a very proactive service aspect of Buddhism. But at the same time, while we're making an act of generosity, like say we give money, what Buddhism would say, or what in Dharma teachings would say, is that when you give the money, you have to give it in the spirit of non-attachment. Like, I'm giving you money, but I'm not expecting a thank you note. I don't expect you to give something back. Give it with a total, just with the joy of giving. Then also give it with what's called a threefold emptiness, which is the realization that the giver, the receiver, and that which is given, or sometimes said the act of giving itself, the act, these three are empty of intrinsic existence. That they're empty. Meaning that they're all interdependent co-arisings. That you don't inherently exist alone in an isolated place. I don't inherently exist in an isolated place. This action couldn't exist without the interconnection between the two of us. That the three are co-arising, codependent, that they're empty of intrinsic existence. Don't get bogged down with the word emptiness. It's a funky translation, but it's the best we've got. Shunya means empty, ta means ness, emptiness, shunyata. But it has to have a qualifier. Everything, all phenomena, all thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, stars, Saturn and its rings, everything is empty, but it's not just empty, it's empty of something. What is it empty of? Independent intrinsic existence. Meaning, they don't exist in a vacuum. Do you get that? You getting what I'm talking about? That's emptiness. I like to translate it as interconnected fullness. But that's more of a poetic translation. Interconnected fullness, but that's more of a poetic, that's my poetic translation. Or empty interconnected fullness.
Is another way to hear that as non-self, as a distinct self? Okay.
That's it. Non-self is more, usually when we say self, we think of being. So there's the twofold emptiness is, so we can say non-self or selflessness. Usually that's referring to when we talk about we ourselves as human beings are selfless, like empty of intrinsic existence. That's Buddhist teaching of non-self. But it's a little awkward to say non-self when we're talking about a rug or a wall. So we talk about, when Alan Wallace says identitylessness is another way to say non-self when you're talking about other things. It's kind of, we always get lost in translation a little bit. Okay, so that's the twofold. What are the twofold bodhicittas? What's the first one? Relative level bodhicitta, and what is that? Compassion. That's, if you don't remember anything else, just from tonight, if you just walk out of this room taking that like, yes, I aspire to be more compassionate in my life, and I feel like my job was well done. What's the second bodhicitta? Emptiness. Good. Good. In a word, don't be concerned with your situation or other factors. Never let go of your practice of mind training. So what it's saying is, we just stop blaming other people your physical circumstances. I know this game, the blame game. Oh, my kids, well, I can't meditate in the morning because my kids, I have to get them ready for school. Do you know that? Oh, I'm just so uncomfortable, I can't meditate, I can't practice. Oh, I don't have a quiet space. These thoughts, this is blaming our circumstances for not taking the opportunity we have in every moment to delve deep into our depths, our potential. Whether you're at a stoplight, whether you're on your cushion, whether you're talking to somebody, we always have the opportunity to wake up. So don't be swayed, or I'd like to say don't blame external circumstances for your suffering. There might be pain, but does there have to be suffering? There's stories of great sages, of practitioners who may have pain, but they don't suffer. So the capacity is there. So this is taking your practice deeper as bodhisattvas, spiritual warriors on the path. Oh, we have just a couple more minutes. Any questions or comments about that?
One thing, point 3 and slogan 11 are helpful with the question that I asked before.
Slogan number 11?
Yeah, in the description, point 3.
Point 3, the transformation of bad circumstances into the path of enlightenment. Yes, that's the good point. And then the first line in that point, number 11, when the world is filled with evil, transform all mishaps into the path of Bodhi. This is life as path.
It's not easy.
But not easy. This is what we talk about almost every night here, is, from different angles, but the theme keeps spiraling around the same core, which is, how do we wake up in the world? Because we're in it. Most of us will not don monk's robes and go to the cave. Some might, and if you do, please pray for us. Most of us won't. So how do we transform bad circumstances into the path of enlightenment? Because, the nature of being in this, incarnated in a physical body in this world, there's suffering. That's the first noble truth. You're not the only one. It's hard seeing kids grow up and they realize, wow, life kind of sucks. My daughter's at that point where she's like, what the fuck? It all started when Trump got elected too. It's like this depression, this sadness. What the fuck? What's going on? It's not ever going to get better. We might have... So we've got to find it in here, because it is great. On the other side, it's all perfect, and it's all liberated, and everything is enlightened. Everything's already awake. That's the pure view, that this is a Buddha field. Even the ugliest slum or the homeless people on the street, see them as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So it's both, all at the same time. The cosmic.
I have a question, but maybe we don't have enough time to talk about.
It's 9 o'clock, so keep it brief.
What's going on in Myanmar?
Oh yeah,
Part of
that's not
Buddhism.
dharma. That's called ethnic cleansing.
I know, but it's the heart of the Buddhism and the heart of the...
I emailed my best friend who lived in Burma for 7 years, and I said, what the fuck? What's going on? And she said, this is totally horrible and tragic, and no regard for, the military has way too much power left over from the earlier days in Burma, and they want to they're ethnically cleansing. And it's a shame, and it's horrible, and they're doing it as a Buddhist country. It's total bullshit. They're not, the non-killing is the first Killing is the first non-virtue in Buddhism. You don't kill. Don't steal. Don't lie. All of that, basic. She said Aung San Suu Kyi has her hands tied because she's tied to the military. She's under their thumb. So here's this great human rights activist not able to do anything. It's a total tragedy. It's horrible. So, you know, you have these beautiful teachings, Buddhism, and then you've got that. That's greed and hatred and confusion. So let's just drop in for a breath or two and dedicate any positive energy, any merit that's come from our practice, our discussion, our prayers. May this time we've spent together be of benefit in our own lives and in others' lives. May it be of benefit to all beings near and far. Thank you, everybody, for a rich discussion. Thank you for your practice. And I'll be here next week. I hope to see you again. If you want to keep the handout, please do. Otherwise, you can hand it back in up here for next time. Yeah, thank you. Just place it there, it's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Yeah. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thanks, Arnie.
Thanks, that was really valuable to me.
Good, good. You're welcome, I appreciate it. Yeah.
I was hoping I could get one of those handouts.
You
Nice
can
to
keep
meet you.
it. Nice to meet you too. What's your name?
Michael.
Michael? Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah. Hey, you're welcome.
I think I started when we were somewhere in the beginning.
Oh, good. Yeah. Do you remember what number? It was a long time ago.
I think I started with